Some massive news breaking today. Volkswagen to invest $5 billion into Rivian.
David, this seems like it came out of the blue, but did we have any hint that this was coming? Was Volkswagen always kicking the tires on this?
We didn't have much of a hint that it was coming, but Rivian was clearly out there raising money and they needed cash. They've been burning cash. And given the low production numbers that they had, it really didn't seem like they were going to get to cash flow positive anytime soon.
/ever. Now, on this, I tend to agree. Look, I'm not a hater here. I wish Rivian well. I always have. They have some good products. However, having good products does not equate to guaranteed success. Rivian, the company, financially, is currently on fire. Oh, and by the way, they have to compete in the same marketplace as Tesla. So good luck with that. To me, this reeks of desperation from Rivian. Again, not a hater. I'm just saying the dude's right. They're currently vaporizing capital at a crazy rate. It's going to be quite some time, I personally believe years, before Rivian has a chance of making a profit. So between now and then, as Rivian continues to shovel money into a furnace at a staggering rate, they're going to need to do whatever it takes just to survive, including potentially selling a slice of the company to VW.
So they needed money. There were maybe financial partners out there they could have gone with, but this helps them a lot. And also helps Volkswagen, by the way, but it helps Rivian because now they have a partner, big auto company that has production, has engineering, has a big parts bin that they can get to for non-EV kind of parts. So maybe they can lower their costs a lot faster than they could have going on their own, selling, building 50,000 vehicles a year. And for Volkswagen, they have
why
the
is
Scout unit.
Volkswagen doing this? I thought they had their own EVs.
They do, and they have their Scout unit that's supposed to make electric trucks, but they might get access to Rivian's pickup and SUV platform, which allow Volkswagen to get into those segments pretty quickly if that's what they want to do. We don't really have the details of the industrial logic behind this, but you can see where they could have a lot of joint manufacturing, joint engineering kind of ventures where they can both lower their engineering costs, get vehicles to market faster. And this is something Volkswagen does. They own a lot of other brands besides Volkswagen and Audi.
So no doubt there will be some collaboration. We'll look at the details of this deal shortly. But for those who don't know, Volkswagen has got to be the most bureaucratic, red tape encrusted joke of an automotive monstrosity in existence. I'm not kidding, by the way. The ownership structure, you've got family, you've got German government owning a portion of the company. It's an absolute mess. It's so hard to get anything done. There's been a lot of false starts with Volkswagen electric vehicles. It's just a joke. Now, riddle me this. It's true that potentially Volkswagen having scale might help Rivian out in terms of lowering some parts costs, maybe. But, to me, this somewhat reeks of desperation from both companies. I think what Rivian really gets out of this is simply $5 billion. And that's it. They've just done it for the money. The equivalent of starting an OnlyFans in desperation during the scamdemic. Hey, an EV startup's got to do what an EV startup's got to do. But I really think that this is just about the money for Rivian. What could Volkswagen possibly offer? They're bureaucratic. They're slow moving. They have no competence in electric vehicles. Of course, Volkswagen benefit. They may gain access to some of Rivian's vehicle platforms, some of their technology, some of their software prowess. Who knows? But let's think about it like this. Rivian previously had a bit of a cool factor. Now that VW owns a huge slice of the company, does that cool factor remain? Food for thought.
They've got Bentley, they've got Lamborghini, they've got a bunch of other European brands as well. And, Volkswagen's always been the kind that acquires. They had a venture for a while with Ford doing self-driving vehicles. So this is a company that likes to play with others and likes to buy other brands. They're not going to buy Rivian, it doesn't seem like, but $5 billion over time, $1 billion to start. That gives Rivian a pretty good injection of cash to get going and a pretty long lifeline here if the venture takes hold and they get the other $4 billion, I should say.
So I'm looking at Rivian. Of course, it's backed by Amazon, which has a 16% stake in the float. But also Ford Motors has a 1.1% stake in Rivian, which I recognize is not a ton. But does that create any potential conflicts with Volkswagen?
Not really. We'll see what happens with Ford. You remember Tesla in its early days had both Toyota and Daimler and Mercedes in there, and both of them sold their stakes and made pretty good money on it. Not as much as...
Now, this is true for those who are unaware. Both Daimler and Toyota previously did own a stake in Tesla and, in fact, had partnerships with Tesla and then sold their Tesla stock for a decent profit, but if only they'd held.
as they would have if they held on to them for a very long time. But they were both in there doing some joint engineering, sharing parts with the companies. So, I would imagine we'll see what Ford does over time. Maybe they sell on this. Maybe they get more involved because Ford and Volkswagen have had relationships and still do. So, there are a lot of ways this could play out. But in the time being, I think merging up the engineering, the part sharing, all that industrial stuff that's kind of behind the scenes will be a big help for Rivian, because you can't get to cash flow positive without lowering your costs and boosting production, and Volkswagen might be able to help them with a lot of that stuff.
I'm curious, though, about the potential of the next phase. It's one thing to get sort of this lifeline of money to keep things afloat here, but we have to compare it, of course, to Tesla, because they are still kind of the dominant player in the EV space, and a lot of the secret sauce there was they kept, or at least they were able to get production costs low. The methods they used to do that's questionable. They also built out a charging network that also...
What the fuck was that? What the... Did he have a producer in his ear just saying, bro, say something negative? The methods that Tesla used to get their production costs down was questionable, apparently. What the fuck? Weird thing to say from Doomberg. Anyway, moving on.
Made it attractive here. Is Rivian and this money that they're going to get from Volkswagen, is that going to give them a shot and maybe building out that infrastructure as well?
It does. I mean, look, at a minimum, it just keeps the company going and allows them to keep developing some of their future models, and they will be able to lower costs. Everybody is going to have to work to build out this charging network, because it's not clear, given all the turmoil at Tesla. They do have relationships with other car companies where they're going to share their charging standard, but given all that's happened, a lot of people are kind of wondering what's going to happen next with that.
Right.
And the car companies have their own venture to expand the charging network across the U.S., and that has to happen. All that takes money, and that's what they're going to get.
I saw this from Galley on X. Quote, the Rivian VW partnership is cute, but doesn't fix the fact that Rivian is losing $1.5 billion per quarter. So this $5 billion investment, e.g. $1 billion up front, and then a $4 billion joint venture. The $5 billion is comparable to Rivian's cumulative losses, let's say, over the last year and one quarter. So it does buy them some runway, but not a lot. You don't see this every day. Rivian stock after hours surging 49.92%. Wild. Now again, I wish Rivian luck, but I still think it's a coin toss as to whether or not they make it. And this move to me reeks of desperation. They needed to do something. And VW are also desperate, so they needed to do something. So this really is a partnership of necessity, in my opinion. So let's check out the details of this joint venture over on Doomberg. Quote, Rivian gets $5 billion lifeline in joint venture with Volkswagen. The EV partnership will focus on technology for new vehicles, and automakers have revised strategies amid market slowdown. Rivian will get a much-needed cash infusion through a new partnership with Volkswagen as automakers large and small rethink their strategies in a slowing electric vehicle market. Now, do you remember some guy, I think a while ago, some dude who makes content with maybe 3 first names said that the path to bankruptcy for companies along the way, there's going to be joint ventures, mergers, acquisitions, and then bankruptcies? I think that guy might have actually been onto something. The companies announced plans for a joint venture supported by an initial $1 billion investment from VW and Rivian, and up to $4 billion more over time. In exchange, VW will get access to the startup's technology for use in its own EVs and a partner to develop, quote, next generation battery powered vehicles and software. So question, does anyone else find it a little perplexing that VW didn't go knocking on Tesla's door 4 or 5 years ago when Herbert D. Snuts was praising Tesla and Elon? It's kind of a little strange that at that time VW didn't say, you know what, we're fucking terrible at software, terrible at technology, we're never going to succeed at this. Why don't we just partner with Tesla, who've already got this problem solved? I'm sure Musk would have been open to it. Seems to me like a massive missed opportunity. Rivian's shares soared more than 50% in extended trading after Tuesday's announcement, recapturing about half of the stock's year-to-date losses. Yeah, it's pretty wild when a stock has collapsed so much that surging 50% still means you're still down about half of your year-to-date loss. The surprise tie-up provides the EV maker with a financial lifeline after it has struggled to ramp up production and deliveries of its electric pickup and SUV models. Rivian in March paused plans to build a new manufacturing plant in Georgia to conserve cash while contending with deep losses, as we looked at previously, around $1.5 billion a quarter, not year, per quarter, which amounted to roughly $39,000 lost for each vehicle built last quarter. Yeah, they're literally losing the entire purchase price, roughly, of an entry-level Tesla vehicle on every Rivian sold. That's wild. The move comes as the broader auto industry retrenches amid an unexpected slowdown in demand for electric vehicles, which obviously has nothing to do with interest rates being sky high at the moment. Ford is cutting spending on electric vehicles by $12 billion and delaying new battery-powered models and factories, while General Motors recently acknowledged it will take, quote, decades for the EV market to develop. Oh, shit. So, yeah, right at the time when these companies should be accelerating as much as possible for General Motors, they're slowing down. Not going to age well. And GM at this point, just high on copium right now. I've given up completely. Mainstream buyers' reluctance to embrace the electric age has left pure play EV makers like Rivian on the ropes. Well, hang on a minute. I'm sorry, but what? Fact check. What was the world's best-selling vehicle last year? Let me see. That was the Tesla Model Y, which is a pure play electric vehicle. Wait, so the world's best-selling vehicle last year was electric, yet mainstream buyers, I mean, it can't get more fucking mainstream than the best-selling vehicle on the planet. Mainstream buyers are reluctant to embrace electric vehicles, apparently, yet the fucking best-selling vehicle on Earth last year was electric. Not quite following the logic here, Doomberg. I think the real sentence here should say, electric vehicle startups' inability to drive prices down to sufficient levels that they can sell vehicles and not lose $40,000 a pop has put them under major financial pressure. Even market leader Tesla is facing, quote, disappointing sales, they claim, and shrinking profit margins. Yeah, I'd be very disappointed with the world's best-selling vehicle. Don't know about you guys, but yeah, what a letdown. Quote, the cost of continuing to go it alone is too high, and investors are less keen on EV companies than when Rivian started, said some university professor. Cool. The new venture will be, quote, equally controlled and owned by VW and Rivian, the company said in a joint statement. Now, again, I've got to say, like, Rivian needed to do this. I'm not being a hater, but bro, how much does that have to hurt to partner? It's VW. Rivian has just lost a lot of the cool factor. But again, what are they going to do? They needed this cash injection. Let's read the full post from RJ Scaringe, Rivian CEO. This is exciting. Volkswagen Group CEO Oliver Bloom and I are thrilled to announce the formation of a joint venture between our two companies. This partnership brings Rivian's software and zonal electronics platform to a broader market through Volkswagen Group's global reach and scale, while providing an expected $5 billion of capital to Rivian as we bring R2 and our next generation of vehicles to market. Now, I've got to say, VW got a fucking absolute bargain here. Potentially up to $5 billion is an absolute spec. They're a huge monstrosity of a business. They get a massive stake in Rivian, plus a bunch of tech. You got to give credit to VW for this. But you also have to roast them for not approaching Tesla 5 years ago for a comparable deal. Back to the article. Volkswagen plans to take the initial $1 billion equity stake in Rivian through an unsecured convertible note that will exchange into Rivian shares on or after the 1st of December. Amazon is Rivian's largest shareholder with a 16% stake, valued at nearly $12 billion. Now, to put this in context, Amazon owns about as much of Rivian as Elon Musk owns of Tesla, just for some context. And I don't mean in dollar amount, I mean in percentage terms of the company. The Amazon stake valued at nearly $2 billion as of Tuesday's close, which, just to be clear, close does not equal after hours, so that's about $3 billion if I'm reading correctly, based on the 50% after hours surge. The pact then calls for VW to invest an additional $2 billion in Rivian shares via 2 equal tranches in 2025 and 2026. The German automaker also intends to put $2 billion into the joint venture through a payment at its inception and a loan available in 2026. So this is fairly long term. I mean, not super long term, but again, for VW, for the scale of this business, $1 billion 1 year, $2 billion here. It's fuck all. This is a very smart move from VW. The structure of the agreement looks favourable to Rivian. What? If by favourable you mean delaying their bankruptcy? Yes. While investors will potentially cede some control to VW, if Rivian shares were to appreciate from current levels, there would be less equity dilution to stomach, and VW would end up owning a smaller percent of the company after it obtains shares. On a call following the announcement, Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe said that VW support will help Rivian move forward with plans to build a new plant in Georgia. Rivian remains contractually bound to investing $5 billion in the Georgia project by the end of the decade. Garrett Nelson, stock analyst, said the announcement is, quote, a vote of confidence in Rivian, but does little to change the company's operating issues and cash burn. And he's right. Rivian went public in November 2021 at the peak of enthusiasm for the speedy arrival of the EV future. Yep, the height of the SPAC attack. And Rivian's the next Tesla. Seen as a potentially formidable competitor to Tesla. The An early rise in Rivian shares briefly gave it a market value exceeding that of Ford and GM. But since then, many EV startups have fallen by the wayside as mainstream car buyers turned away from pricey models. For VW, the German automotive giant gets access to Rivian's software and EV architecture after years of struggling to roll out plug-in vehicles with efficiency and functionality on par with those from Tesla. Rivian has attempted partnerships with established automakers in the past. In November 2021, it abandoned plans to jointly develop EVs with Ford, an early investor. And in December 2022, it shelved the deal to build electric vans with Mercedes. How interesting. So, the best of luck to Rivian. I mean, call me a deluded Tesla fanboy, but this looks like an extremely desperate but necessary decision from Rivian. VW, it's a huge win. And they basically bent Rivian over for a little bit of chump change relative to the scale of their business. They basically get everything, plus some extra cool factor. Buys Rivian a small amount of runway. What I find most interesting of all, however, is just how car-related this entire deal is. Just over 1 month until Tesla Robotaxi event. August 8th, the big unveil, Tesla Cybercab, which will completely disrupt, transform, and enormously increase the profitability of Tesla's business. A truly incredible moment, surely. And this is the big news at the moment. Rivian stock surging 50% after hours on the back of the news that they're desperately taking money from VW. Best of luck to Rivian and to VW. They are both going to need it. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.